just to get the sense of the room, how many of you are already in services? Let's say police services or revenue services or other like services, and are here to improve your rank. You can raise your virtual hands with that. Okay, so let's move down in the ladder. So how many of you are going to apply for interview or have appeared for interviews? How many of you have given mains? Anyone? I think there should be some folks who have given mains. And how many of you have appeared for prelims? Anyone? Prerna has. So Prerna, what's your story? You can unmute yourself and speak out loud.
So I am Prerna Singh. I am a BTech graduate. I completed my engineering in 2020. Then after that, I worked with Aditya Birla Financial Services for a year. Then because of multiple reasons, change of minds or what you say, I never had UPSC as an option at first. But slowly, I got into that. And after 1 year of service, I left my job, which was a hard task to convince everyone. And then after I appeared for the prelims, couldn't get through, but let's see, hopefully this year.
All right, and what's your story, Abhimanyu?
Hello,
and
everyone.
when you narrate the story, also tell me what are 2 things that you look forward to learning while being a part of the IFS fellowship for 24. 2 stock things that you may perhaps not have gained elsewhere. So what are those 2 things that you are looking forward to learning?
Okay, hello. Good morning, everyone. Myself, Abhimanyu, and I have given a couple of attempts at UPSC. Of course, so I happen to be an outlier in the misfits groups in the sense that the whole idea is that you should give one attempt and then pivot. But again, somehow I ended up here. So I'm appearing for the interviews this year. I also appeared for the interview last year. So I'm hoping to get through in this attempt, of course. And my expectations from this program is that IFS has been my first preference in the last 4 attempts, and I hope to put that again on the top. So probably there's something which I can learn from your experience and of course the peer groups as well. And the other thing that I'm looking to gain from the program is that what are the ideas or what are the wonderful techniques that you guys employ so as to improve your efficiency, because from my experience in the UPSC for the last couple of years, I've seen that my score has, stagnated around a certain point, and most of it is to blame for that goes on my optional. So maybe I can learn a couple of tricks from here and then improve my scores a bit. Interview has been a fine area for me.
When is the interview scheduled, by the way?
The date's not out yet. So it'll be probably in the second lot.
All right. So all the very best with the journey,
Thank you so
Abhimanyu.
much. Thank you so much.
So, and I'll interact with almost all of you along the journey. You are not going to be too many people. So we'll make sure that this group of 100 people is there all throughout the journey, not just 6 months or 1 year, but for the rest of their lives. Because I'm taking an asymmetric bet in all of you that all of you go into the civil services and get into the IFS. I think getting into civil services should not be the goal, because there are many other services. And once you get into the services, you would realize that it's ludicrous to be part of those services. Because any service that you may choose or pick, you're going to be spending 35 to 30 years in that job. So why not make it life's mission, at least 1 year's mission, to be part of a service that you will take a pride in being a part of. So before we begin, let's hear from Ronika. What's your story? And then we'll begin with the next agenda in today's class.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Ronika. I have given 3 attempts, one of which was serious attempt. First, I was preparing for state civil services, and somebody told me you should give UPSC as well. You have good command on it. And I tried giving that, failed at it. Then I gave my second serious attempt. I didn't clear it. And then I started doing my job. I have done my master's in computer science, and I did my job for 1 year, and I obviously realized that, of course, I have to do that every day. I used to cringe, no, I have to give UPSC. And then I gave my third attempt. I left my job 2 months before my third attempt. So obviously bad decision. So now I am going to give my 4th attempt this year.
All right. This is supposed to be for those who will be appearing in 2024 because the methodologies will take some time to internalize, at least 2 to 3 months. And then you will start appreciating the beauty of the methodology. Okay. So please be patient if you're aiming for 24 and thereafter. All of you unraise your hands. Now, I have a really good news for you, and I have a wonderful news for you. The good news is that I'm also delighted to welcome my co-founder at Global Governance Initiative, Shatakshi, on this meeting. And I'm trying to convince Shatakshi to give her insights in terms of how to leverage PCG2 cross 2 matrix to McKinsey's pyramid principle, if and when you will appear for your interview or mains. So that's the good news. And Shatakshi will introduce herself. She has worked extensively in consulting space. She had worked with McKinsey's chairman, Mr. Adil Zanul Bhai. She has worked with PCG and has also advised foreign governments in countries such as Saudi Arabia, UAE, so on and so forth, while being part of the Tony Blair's work in the region. And Shatakshi's experiences will come extremely handy when we start the phase 2 of the IFS journey, when we delve into the topics of ethics, when we delve into the topics of how to write answers, and also how to structure answers. Because I can bet, and I think we are in a good company because not many outsiders as of now will talk of those things. So my desire is that if you can employ those strategies and hacks in your eventual exams, you're going to outshine your peers going forward. Now let's move on to the wonderful news. The wonderful news is that I always believe in the idea of promising less and delivering more. So when we came up with this program, the promise was simple, that we will stay with you for 6 months. The phase 1, the phase 2, the gap in the middle, so on and so forth. But now what we're doing is, regardless of how you are positioned, we will be there with you in the entire journey. We will be there with you when you're writing a mains exam in 25. We will do some short sessions and we won't charge a penny for it. We will be there with you for your interviews preparation. And we may also extend the course if needed in delivering certain coursework that we believe can enhance your score. The point is simple. We want to ensure that you succeed, you grow, and you thrive in the journey. And you took an enormous faith in us, belief in us that we Misfits has been nothing. We just came up with an idea and you took a bet on us. So now it's going to be our time to place a bet on you. And we'll try our best to ensure that you thrive in the journey. Now, there are certain ground rules that I would really want all of you to follow through on, okay? And these ground rules are extremely important, not just in this class, but in all subsequent lectures that we might have going forward. But before I talk about the ground rules, Shatakshi, do you want to introduce yourself and say hi to the wonderful cohort?
Sure. No, more than happy to. Welcome everyone to the Misfits community. If I were to say, start by saying one thing, this is one of the Naman's pet project. He's so passionate about it and he's really very excited. He was really excited to meet all of you today. And there are two things that I would like to say over and above what Naman said about me. If there is one thing, only just one thing, I've realized about my career in the last 10 years, be it management consulting, public policy, and international affairs, it's that I learned how to communicate well. Being knowledgeable and being able to communicate your thoughts in a well-respected, structured fashion, those are starkly two different skills. And very few people have that. And when I say, look, I learned to communicate well, I'm not just talking about verbally. I'm talking about in written as well. You may have a lot of plethora of information to write in your UPSC mains answers, but on the D-Day, if you fumble, or if you just put in a muddled piece of information on that paper, I don't think that's going to take you places. Naman knows this. I've never taken this exam. I never intended to take this exam. I will never take this exam. I'm a core out and out private sector girl, if you may want to call me. But there's one thing that I understand really well, and that made me get a lot of marks in my CBSE and many other examinations, is that I understand how to make sections and segments and sub-segments within that piece of information and really communicate it well. So that's one thing that I would want to land to all of you before my journey with any one of you starts. Or I really want all of you to understand the psychology behind how someone evaluates you before you get into that entire piece. So that's one thing. Second thing, I would like to say one thing. I've always personally believed that I'm a misfit myself. You may not believe me because of the places or the tags that I have had, but when I was at St. Stephen's College, I was a misfit. When I was at ISB Hyderabad, I always felt like a misfit because I never wanted to study for the heck of getting a marks. So this community is for outliers. This community is for those set of people who felt that we were really different. And then the societies put a pressure upon them that be like them, become a part of the society, try to fit in, right? So take a pride in being a misfit. in your 20s or in your early 30s, you might feel anxious. You might feel that I am falling behind than my peers. But trust me, if you have confidence over your values, over your skills, over the community that you surround yourself in, then all is going to fall into place. So those are my two things that I would like to say. First, understand that being knowledgeable and being able to communicate that knowledge are two different things. And you will learn that at Misfits. And point number two, have a lot of pride in being a misfit in your life. Those are the two things, Raman, that I would like to say to the community. Back to you.
I think the famous physicist in the Zoom background was the misfit of all. And he's an inspiration behind the methodology that we're going to employ. Thank you so much, Shatakshi. Now, what we'll do is I'll set a few ground rules that will set the precedence from here on. The first thing is that in this class, there's going to be a lot of cold calling. Now, what is cold calling? Can anyone tell me what is cold calling? Or explain to the class?
When you call people, a random set of people whom you don't know, they are not categorized into certain category.
Exactly. So, and the reason is simple, because you will learn to the best of your abilities when you are on your toes, when you're being questioned. But that does not mean that you should be scared of anything. I've ensured that there is no pre-read in any of the classes. There will be post-reads, which are compulsory for you, but there are no pre-reads. So come with, by throwing away all the biases that you might have in the dustbin and come to the class with a very fresh mindset. And even if you're giving wrong answers or dumb answers, do not worry. There are no dumb questions. There are no dumb answers. Make all the mistakes that you want to make here. No one is here to judge you. And believe me, these 100 people are going to be, in some way or the other, contributing immensely to the country's growth in time to come. Okay, so do not fret if you're cold called. Just think from the first principles. Think logically. And in a span of 2 to 3 months, you will realize the power of how to further analyze things and how to question things. And most importantly, how to answer answers when you're put forth in a difficult situation. Okay, so cold calling will be a core component of the class. The second thing is that you will all have to have your videos on, because there won't be any monologue. There are going to be dialogues. And these dialogues will encompass across ethics, across polity, across economics, and we'll tie it up with international affairs or perhaps geography. So have your videos on, no monologues, all dialogues. And you will realize, when you have your videos on, further you're much more engaged. You've paid in, and I tend to believe it's not just about money in terms of investment, it is in terms of time as an investment. And time is the most important asset for anyone in the world. So make sure for the 2 hours that you are in this ecosystem, have your videos on and be properly engaged in the debates and the discussions. The third thing is that after the class, and I will assign you the specific booklets and readings that you will have to do, but after the class, make sure that you read through those books. It will not take more than 2 hours on a daily basis to complete those readings, but it will be worth it. The last thing is you will all have to be aware of the chart setting here. I have put it on as a setting, but what we have realized basis our experience as even a GGI is that it is distracting for all the members of the ecosystem. So if you have anything to say out loud, just raise your hand and we will get back to you and we will have your questions, concerns, and anything and everything that you might have addressed. Okay. Up until now, any questions?
Hi, Naman. Shubham this side.
Yes, Shubham.
Am I audible?
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
actually,
Let's have the raising of hand as a methodology.
Actually, I've joined from my phone. Actually, I'm in office, so I've just
Okay.
joined for so that is it. So I just wanted to know whether, as I'll be working, it will be difficult for me to join in the timing of 12 to 2. If I'll be watching the videos in the evening, obviously, but will there be any live sessions for the people who are working?
That's a very good question. And in fact, I was thinking about this yesterday. I think it was you only who sent an email to the Misfits team.
No, actually, I haven't sent any mail as of now, but I just wanted to interact with you personally on one-to-one.
So what we're thinking is it's not out loud currently, but we will try our best to ensure that college students who might miss their lectures or the office-going folks who might miss lectures, we might host live sessions with them on weekend. We're thinking of Sunday. These will be extended sessions for 6 hours or 5 hours. We will debate through internally on how we can materialize this. But the goal is simple. We will do anything and everything in our capabilities to ensure that you thrive. Okay, so don't worry. Do not fret at all.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, Avdut, what's your question?
Hello, sir. This is Avdut. So my question is, in the last 6 months, I've gone through the syllabus and read the some parts of polity and economy. So by and large, I've covered the reading. So like whatever I knew, what should be read. Is this going to be any problem with this course? Because I don't know how to continue with this. That's the problem I'm having.
So I didn't get the question. So you have concerns about continuing with the MisFits journey, or your?
No, the continuance with the syllabus that I'm reading means it's not.
Okay.
Shall I be restarting it again, or how should I proceed?
We will be starting from the beginning because thought
Okay.
processes need a time to tame. So everything will be from foundations. We will pick up pace in some time, but in the beginning, we will be very slow. Okay.
Understood. Yes, sir.
We will
No
be
issue.
focusing a
Thank you.
lot on foundations. Okay. Muskan, what's your question?
Yes, good afternoon, sir. So actually, I was like 20 minutes late on joining this session as I was trying to connect from my iPad. However, that failed and I did not realize. So I was just wondering if I missed anything important during the first 20 minutes. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience.
Well, you've missed some wonderful songs in the beginning. And additionally, I think you missed the introduction of Shatakshi, but do not worry. I think you can watch through the recordings if and when we make this available. I think it should not take more than 2 days. So we'll put this on the LMS tool that we will talk about in some time.
All right, thank you.
Gangadhar?
Hello, Naman. Could you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Naman, so even I'm a working professional. Even I have the problem of attending in the 12 p.m. on the weekdays. So I just wanted to check with you. So what is going to be the timetable of this MisFits journey? So is it going to be like a weekday, or I mean, even I wanted to be conducted on the weekends. So,
Okay. So
yeah.
I think it's on the website that it's the initial time that was proposed, and that will be there. Would be what we have right now, Monday to Thursday. This will be the slot. And all I know is that for all of you, it is extremely important. Even if you miss lectures, do not worry. Watch the recordings with a fresh mindset and be engaged in those recordings. I can totally empathize with your situation that, with office comes a lot of office politics. And there are certain times that might work best for you. With recordings, I think many concerns will be taken care of. Over and above recordings, we are contemplating of doing weekly sessions with those who might miss these lectures because of whatever commitments that they might have, with the sole objective that you thrive in the journey. Okay. I'm very confident that even with recordings, you will make the best of the journey. But just to see how you are progressing, just to put you in spot, just to have fun with you, we will also catch up weekly. Let me discuss this with the team internally in terms of how my calendar looks, and we'll try our best to see if we can figure out something for the weekly schedule for folks who are working professionals.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'll try to address all your questions, but I also want to cover a few things that are extremely important. So let me I'll take a few more questions. Twinkle, what's your question?
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So no one in my immediate family or distant family, no one is in the civil services. I had never thought about joining the civil services ever. Like, it was never an option for me. I always thought I'd be a finance girl, but that didn't appeal to me. And I just felt it in my core that I must give this a try. I mean, I'm 23. I'm not too old. It's the right age. My parents are supportive, and I'm very grateful for that. So do I need to do things on my own, as in terms of look over material, or I could just totally depend on the MisFits program and just carry along? Because very honestly, I am a blank page when it comes to anything related to the civil services. I have no friends who are appearing for the civil services examination. So I'm completely blank. This is just very honest of me.
Okay, it's not just you. There will be many who are in the same spot. Do not worry. I think even if you've applied for interview, or even if you are gotten into the revenue service or the account auditing services, there's no guarantee that in the next attempt you may even clear prelims. Okay, so you all start in some way or the other in a similar spot. To answer your question, I think I'll move on to the second segment also, and then I can further take questions. So I was in Omaha a few years ago. Anyone heard of Omaha? What is it famous for? It's in Nebraska. So I think it's famous for two things, essentially. The first is that they have wonderful zoos and aquariums. And second, it is famous for the legend called Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett, almost on a yearly basis, along with his partner, Charlie Munger, they conduct a stakeholder meeting or shareholder meetings of all those who've invested in Berkshire Hathaway. It's a company. That's not important. The point that's important is that in one of the meetings, a 20-year-old kid asked Mr. Buffett, that Mr. Buffett, you are the richest man in the world. And I look up to you. I see that you're very happy. I see that you're very wealthy. And I'm just 20 right now. I want to be like you. I want to be successful. I want to be happy. And I want to be wealthy. How can I do that? To which the richest man, Warren Buffett, he said that do not worry about being happy because it's very subjective. But what I can do is I can give you a prescription about how to be professionally accomplished. He said that there are 3 things that you need to focus on, just 3 things, and this will transform your life. The first is that you need to have extreme patience. And what do I mean by patience? And what did he mean by patience? Patience is when you are calm, you're composed, you've gotten rid of all the anxieties in the world. Think, how productive you will be if you are not anxious all the time. So one thing that you have to do in the entire Misfits journey for the next 6 months at least is that you have to be extremely patient and trust the process. There are many people and many aspirants who will debate, who will be so anxious all the time. First thing is clear, you need to have extreme patience. And there are many youngsters who are so anxious about, what books to read. They will debate their time, thinking, should I read Shekhar Bandyopadhyay's Policy to Partition, or should I read India's Struggle for Independence, or should I read Spectrum? There are many aspirants who will go on to change their strategies every week. These are anxiety-ridden people. Such people will never clear civil services. Any ruler, and you're going to be rulers in some way or the other for the masses, any ruler has to be calm. They have to be composed, and they have to have extreme Buddha-like patience. So please ensure that you're very patient in the journey. Learnings will happen, but you need to stay consistent and trust the process. We will follow through some certain standard books, and I'll discuss this strategy after this segment. But patience is number 1 thing that you should take, not from me, but from Warren Buffett, take from Buddha, take from all the echelons of the religious or the philosophical domain. So number 2 thing that Warren Buffett spoke of was, again, you need to work smart. You don't need to work hard, you need to work smart. And think about it, Warren Buffett, he spends most of his time reading and traveling and eating ice creams. He focuses on 3 companies every year that he invests in. And then it's the compounded returns that he takes the benefit of. Smartest people do not work hard. Laborers work hard. Their goal should be to work smart. In the entire journey, I don't want you to spend 10 hours or 15 hours of getting enamored by the UPSC syllabus. Be extremely efficient, so work smart, and analysis will come into picture as we move on to the third step. The third thing that he spoke of, and that is extremely important, is that take asymmetric bets in life. What is an asymmetric bet? I think you all have taken an asymmetric bet already. What is it? Let me cold call someone. Okay, so let me cold call Khushi, asking Khushi to unmute herself so that others can also hear.
I hope you are hearing me.
Yeah.
I was not able to unmute. Asymmetric bet is taking a one-time bet on something for and not having any anticipation of returns. So taking one-time bet and giving.
Come on. Okay, great attempt. So there is something called symmetric bet. You put in $100 and you get $100 in return. That's a symmetric bet. Symmetric returns. Asymmetric would be you put in $100 and you get $1,000 in return. That's asymmetric bet. There's a huge component of luck. There's a huge component of belief when you take an asymmetric bet. Today, you all have taken an asymmetric bet in life that you want to clear an exam that has less than 0.5% chances of getting in, right? That is an asymmetric bet that you've taken. You will write this exam with less than $2 at hand. The papers and everything will not cost you more than $2. The forms, the DAF forms, so on and so forth, or could be more, but $2 to $5. But the returns that you will get after being in civil services, it's going to be enormous. That's an asymmetric bet. And you also took another bet on me. When you had no idea about Misfits, you enrolled in this program. We don't have a huge track record. It will build on from here on because I now have a skin in the game, right? So that is asymmetric bet that you all have taken. So this is something which Warren Buffett also says, take asymmetric bets in life and stick with those bets. Now, from here on, when you hear the word that, there's less than 0.5% chances of getting into civil services, do not think that people in this room are your competitors. Collaborate with them. Your competitors will be external audiences, right? Folks who are debating with books, folks who are in ancillary classrooms, just, having fun. But here you all have to collaborate because the goal should be that each and every candidate within this room should be getting into the foreign services or civil services. So do not treat your peers as your competitors. Collaborate with them and you will realize the value and power of collaborations. The competition is not amongst you. It's with folks who are in various other institutes or various other spheres of life. As of now, any question? I can see 3 hands being raised. Prashant has one. So I'll ask Prashant to unmute.
Hi, Naman.
Hey, Prashant, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing very well, thank you.
Great. So first of all, it's a great initiative which have been opened on this platform. Thanks to that. And second thing is that I just wanted to suggest one particular thing on the point which you added earlier. So as we are working professionals, we would be preferring for the recordings. As you said, you will be getting the recording in a couple of days. So if it is available in the same day, it would be really helpful within a couple of hours. So that what will happen will not be staying behind the classes. Yeah, that is one thing. And
just to give an answer to that, the first class recording will take a couple of days, and thereafter we'll do this immediately. Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's it. And from my side, I'm very much clear with regards what I'm expecting from Misfits. So it's only one thing: sure shot, IFS, nothing else.
Fantastic. And whenever you are posted in any country, you will have to host me. Saurabh, your turn.
Hey, Naman, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So as a working professional, I actually have 2 doubts. So since we'll be watching the recorded sessions, in case we have any doubts, how can we get that clarified?
We're thinking of doing the weekly sessions as well.
Okay. And secondly, since we are focusing mainly on the GS part, can you put a light on how do we cover our optionals? When do we focus on that as well, please?
My focus is on GS. Optionals, whosoever is prepared for the UPSC mains would realize questions get repeated, at least in paper 1. Standard answers, okay? And we'll discuss those strategies when needed. But currently focus on GS.
Sure.
Okay. I might give some of the guidance on the PSIR optional, but for optional, do not rely on Misfits. But for GS, you can holistically rely on Misfits, from prelims to mains to any aspects of the UPSC, barring optional.
Cool. That helps. Thanks.
Okay, fantastic. Now, the next question is, what is going to be the teaching methodology? I read this anywhere and everywhere, that all the UPSC aspirants, they read the same books. Lakshmikant for polity, GC Leong for geography, so on and so forth. The list is endless. And it's not just you. There's going to be millions of people reading the same books. But how can you differentiate yourself from others? What are the ways and means? Why wouldn't anyone who has read a book, revised multiple times, how are you different from them? Because if anyone is putting in 1 year to this preparation, they will read a book multiple times. They will write question papers, they will attempt papers. So you will have to have an edge, right? Eventually, it's a competitive game with the rest of the world, not amongst us all. So how can you differentiate yourself? Anyone has an answer? Ayush?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Ayush, go on.
Yes. Sir, I think so. Reading the standard books is like the bare minimum. And where the difference is created, I think so, it is in the practical aspect, which we feel like we have seen the ground reality or something which is out of the box, which is not mentioned in the books. So if we are studying, let's say I'm studying about Delhi Sultanate, and now what are the condition of the monuments right now? Something specifically I can say, which is like supporting the current affairs to actual with practical experience that I've experienced.
I think fair enough. You're spot on with the answer to some extent. But the point is that it all boils down to, again, the 3 things that Warren Buffett said. Having patience. If you can curb your anxiety on the examination day, you're already ahead of 90% of people. Even if you have not read much, but if you go in with the right spirit, you're ahead of 90% of the people. There are many instances when people have read through multiple books, revisions multiple times, multiple papers, but they were so anxious in the examination hall that they screwed it up badly. There are instances of people who filled in wrong buckets in the prelims examination. I'm not kidding, this has happened in reality. This exam is conducted once a year, and you can't make that blunder. If you're making that blunder, you are not fit to be in civil services, okay? But yeah, here the difference comes in. The methodology will be layered into 3 segments. The layer 1 is about, focusing on very basic foundations. Every day we meet, we begin with history, by the way. Module 1 will be history. We begin with ancient, move on to medieval, move on to modern. The goal would be simple. In layer 1, you need to come to the classroom with no pre-reads, but you need to come in with a fresh perspective. You need to have the vision and idea that you are going to participate in every topic that is being covered in the class. Even if you give wrong answers, does not matter. It does not matter at all. But you need to learn as much as possible in those discussions. I will put forth certain questions. You need to think along the lines. What could be the reason? Why is that happening? And after the class, so layer 1 is foundations. You do not have to take notes, but you have to cover the entire syllabus. And you will do that via these recordings and via live classes. That's layer 1. You mix the layer 1 with layer 2. And what is layer 2? Layer 2 is the post reads after the masterclass. After every class, you will have to do those readings. Will not take more than 2 hours, but you will have to do those readings. And when you're doing those readings, you also see if you want to make notes. But if you can't make notes, do not worry, do not fret. But do those readings meticulously after every class. Because the goal is that after some time, the same books will be read again by you. The third stage, third level is where Shatakshi also comes in. When we will be talking about certain examination hacks. Right before your prelims, right before your mains, right before your interviews, we will be doing certain sessions that will be aimed at increasing your chances of getting into civil services. Okay, so we're not leaving you hanging for just 6 months, even though you paid for 6 months, but we're going to be there for you, with you in the entire journey as long as possible. And hopefully, if you get into the foreign services, you might take forward the journey of Misfits from here on. Any questions as of now? Harshini has a question. She hasn't raised her hand. Okay. Shivanandan has a question. Go on, Shivanandan.
Hello, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. First of all, very thank you, sir, for initiating this. And so my question is, if I am thinking of taking PSIR as an optional, then to what extent should I be dependent on Misfits for its preparation for the optional?
Okay, I should not be saying this, but you should not be dependent on anything. At the end of the day, it's all, how you go ahead with the journey. I will try my best we will do our best to ensure that you thrive in GS paper. But as of now, there is zero commitment on PSIR. We might help you and we might launch a PSIR program. But right now, my goal is that if you can, I think PSIR, approximately 50 to 60% syllabus overlaps with GS. So focus on GS for now. And believe me, whoever has written mains and is applying for interview can also give a testimony that it does not take more than 3 months or 2 months to prep for the optional subject, such as PSIR. It will take a lot of time for chemistry or physics or mathematics because it's totally unrelated to the GS papers. But for PSIR, it will not take more than 2 to 3 months, even after prelims. You can crack PSIR. Having said this, we have meticulously and cautiously designed the syllabus in a way that we finish the entire curriculum probably by the month of October or September, so that you have ample time to work through things on your own. You will have a lot of time. Does this answer your question, Shivanandan? Okay. Priyank, what's your question? And to all those who are introverts, so believe me, even I was an introvert. Okay. That's my safe spot. So please do not worry what others will think. These 100 people are going to be with you now. They're stuck with you for the rest of your life. They will be your batchmates. So do not fret. If you have any questions, feel free to ask any question, and no question is dumb question. Go on, Priyank.
Hey, hi, good afternoon, Naman.
Good afternoon, Priyank.
Yeah, so I just want to know, will there be any mock interview session once this course is completed for each of us, so that we could know what we are lacking in terms of interview, from interview perspective?
Say, in terms of interviews, I know one thing, that after these classes, if you are totally engaged in the lectures, you are going to outshine in interviews. You will not need any preparation for interviews. But to answer your question clearly and categorically, yes. There will be mock interviews for those who clear the mains examination. I hope that's 100% of you. And you do not have to, go to any XYZ coaching classes for it. Usually the kind of interviews that you stumble upon on YouTube videos, that's not how UPSC interviews are conducted. Okay. Very calm, very sensible people, they will conduct your interviews. So do not fret in terms of, what will happen to me after I clear mains. Interview is the most important part of your journey. It can decide your rank. Getting a good score in interview can transform your rank. There are many instances where interview, in a way, I think it can decide your lifestyle. 1 bad mark, 2 bad mark, 50 bad marks can ruin the chances of getting into decent services. So don't worry. In fact, my goal is simple. 10 years down the line, when you're talking to your kids, you should be telling your kid that today was the best day of my life. I'm so glad I stumbled upon a specific YouTube video. And I'm so glad I was part of Misfits' journey. That's my goal. That's my personal goal. So do not worry. Everything is there for you. Maitri, what's your question?
Hello, very good afternoon, sir. I have read quite a lot of posts from you on the YouTube. And quite a few times you have mentioned that the teaching methodology in Misfits would be quite different from another institutes that are prevalent in our society. So I want to know more about the what you called as Harvard methodology of teaching. How it will be different from the regular ones?
You will have to experience that, and it will take 2 to 3 months for you to internalize those concepts. It will be Socratic style debates. There won't be lectures where I come in and I tell you this was Harappan civilization, then we moved on to Vedic, then we moved on to XYZ, this was Modern Empire, these were the rulers. That's not how we're going to study. Okay. In fact, in layer 1, the focus is to build on foundations. You need to, when you're reading Lakshmikant, you need to analyze things. So yesterday, I went out for dinner with a friend who's an Australian diplomat here in Indonesia. His wife is from Bangladesh. And in the middle of the dinner, that guy was saying, I love India, I love Hindus, oblivious to the fact that India is beyond Hindu civilization. India has various facets to it. In fact, the idea of, that two nations or two religions cannot survive together, it was broken in 1971, right? With the separation of Bangladesh from Pakistan. Pakistan was Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and it was divided into two halves thereafter, proving that two nations theory was nonsense. And in that specific war, if you were to go through and further analyze, and this is the principle of, having analytical mindset comes in, you will realize that the Northern Command of the Indian Air Force, of the Indian Army, of the Armed Forces was headed by a Muslim in India, Air Marshal Latif, who was the Army General. He was a Parsi from India, General Sam Manekshaw. There was someone in the Eastern Command who was heading the military operations. His name was General Jacob, a Christian. And then you had the person signing the deal with the losing forces of the Pakistani army was General Jagjit Singh Arora, a Sikh, in a country where 81% are Hindus. That is India. And you will analyze that India, not by just reading standard books, but you need to observe things. Not just in 1971, move over to 2004. What is India for you? You had a Sikh Prime Minister, Manmohan Singh, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was sworn in by Muslim President, APJ Abdul Kalam, the largest winning, sitting in front of both of those folks for the women of Roman Catholic origin, Sonia Gandhi, the UPA leader, in a country again with 81% Hindus. So when you're analyzing secularism in India, you will have to analyze things, and that analysis will happen if and when you are engaging in debates. When you're engaging in debates, you will realize it is so much easier to retain information, because then information becomes a story. Okay. So yeah, it will be a Socratic method that HBS uses quite often. However, we will be using a lot of methods that Stanford also uses. Can anyone tell me the difference between Harvard's methodology and Stanford's methodology? So in HBS, what happens is that you are compensated, you're given extra marks for being an extrovert. But in Stanford classrooms, you're given marks for being an introvert, for being a good listener. So every time I ask you a question, you need to tell me what the person before you said. So you need to understand, you need to listen to the person who is speaking before you. Okay. Ayush, what's your question? And all of you whose questions have been addressed, please unraise it. Ayush, after you.
Yes, sir. I'm not sure is this a right question to ask, but I just wanted to ask one thing. A lot of seniors and a lot of YouTube channels, and they've been bragging about this one thing, that GS is kind of a saturation. So if you prepare GS full-heartedly, but it will give you a score that is, in a limited margin. So you have to divert your focus more to the optional side. So I just wanted to ask one thing. So do we have to prepare those GS and optional proportionately, or how I can proceed?
I'll be brutally honest with you. For UPSC exam, for all the 100 people who are sitting in this room, take it in writing. You cannot take any of the part non-seriously, because you're aiming for top 100 ranks. You're not aiming for those 700s or 800th rank, which will give you nonsense services. You're aiming for top 100 ranks. So you cannot take any part of the syllabus lightly. Be it essay, be it ethics, be it interview, be it optional, both papers, you need to give your best. And you need to ensure that you're amongst the best in India when you're writing those papers. Because you're giving this exam only once, so make the best use of it. So do not think with the logic, with the idea that, I'll focus a lot on GS, but I'll compromise on optional. Don't do that. You will have to focus on every subject, and you cannot miss every subject, any subject, because eventually it also might hinder with your confidence. So for example, if you were to apply for prelims and you have missed out on a lot on art and culture, or let's say medieval history, in the back of your mind in the paper, you will always have this thing, what if 15 questions come from that part? My entire year is gone. So you can't be leaving subjects. The goal in mains should be to ensure that in every answer that you write, if you can get 2 marks extra or 1 mark extra, that's 20 marks every paper. multiply by 5, how much? 100 marks in just few papers. Anyway, so I hope that answers your question, and I hope that clarifies things for you.
Yes, sir.
So we won't be studying in today's class. We're doing a lot of Q&A. There's going to be a lot of dialogue. A proper module will begin from the next class onwards. Okay, but I'll try my best to ensure all the questions are addressed. We won't be doing this in every class. We will catch up later after the class is over. But in this class, feel free to put in your questions or any doubts. Nivedita, you will have to have your video on to begin with the question.
Yes, sir. Hi, Naman. My question to you is like, will there be any test series kind, because everybody stresses on answer writing and all that. So how will that be addressed? And also like, after the class, how long will, all this, like the post reading, which you told, how long will that take? Because see, we'll have other things to manage as well, working and managing the house and all that goes on. So how long will that take?
See, I think there is a reason why I am doing post readings and not pre-readings. The reason is simple, so that you can efficiently read through those materials. So once you have discussed things in the classes, it will be much more easier for you to read through the material. You will internalize concepts in a much fresher perspective because you've already heard those things in the classroom. So my idea is that it should not take a couple of hours every day if you're diligent. Okay, so make sure the 2 hours of full concentration. You should keep aside your laptop. You should block certain websites. You should not go to various other sites. Just 2 hours, read whatever we have assigned.
Okay. And what about test series and all that?
See, I think one thing that many people talk of is answer writing. See, answer writing is important. There's no denying the fact. But much more important aspect than answer writing is answer building. How do you build an answer? Many people waste a lot of their time just practicing nonsense. If there's a question, you will fret, you will be a little concerned that how to give an answer to this. This is concerning for many people that they focus a lot of their time, writing 1 answer, 2 answers. Don't work on it right now. Finish level 1, finish level 2, and then we move on towards newspaper reading. I'm not even asking you right now to focus on newspaper readings for 2024. Finish standard books first. Finish the level 1, finish the level 2. For test series, what I will do is I will create separate videos, or I might conduct a few classes where we discuss previous year papers. Okay, and believe me, whosoever is appeared for the exam can again testify that in some way or the other, UPSC tends to repeat questions. So why would you not want to maximize your chances of getting good score there? So whatever is left after static portion is then the practice session and the current affairs. For current affairs, there are a couple of booklets in the market, very efficient. There are some good coaching institutes that are doing some really good work here. So I will further analyze if it makes sense. If they're doing the good gestures, then we'll go for that. Otherwise, we'll design something of our own. But test series comes in after you have done level 1, level 2. Avadut, what's your question?
Yes, sir. So my first question was about the current affairs, but since that you have covered it already. So second one was
it's a very
about
unique strategy. And I know it's a very contrarian approach. Many will say that you should read newspapers diligently and daily. I think it's a waste of time if you are not thorough with basics. So first and foremost, learn the basics, because I'm of the opinion that many of the newspapers are not newspapers. These are views papers, certain views that will get covered. That's one. Secondly, journalists are not, they are very generalist, very general in orientation.
Right.
So the goal is to, and is there anyone who wants to become a collector or something, an IAS? There's no problem with that, but the goal is to become a collector for you, not a book collector, a collector of a district. So make sure that you're not overburdening yourself with too much of current affairs. Static is important because once you learn static, you will learn how beautiful the current affairs is and how easy it is to learn those things.
Okay, sir. So second was, how are we going to cover the CSAT and essay?
No CSAT. We are not doing CSAT.
No. Okay, and for the essay?
Yes. Yeah. For essay, we will do, I think I'll do a few sessions. We will do some mock exercises, and Shatakshi will also come there for this session. So do not worry about essays. Every aspect of GS will be covered.
Thank you, sir.
And even before, so because I am of the opinion that even if you finish the syllabus in the month of, let's say, September or October, when the time comes for your mains, you will end up forgetting certain things. So in all likelihood, if time permits, we might do separate sessions for you, of course, free of cost, because with no additional cost. So do not worry. Ananya, what's your question?
Can you hear me? I think you can.
Yeah.
Hello Naman, hello Shatakshi, hello everyone. I'm Ananya, and I've heard it all. I've read your post, and have been following you for a long time. And whatever you say resonates with me. And IFS is not something that I've looked upon. It's something I have dreamt from. Like the goal is from class 10, and I've decided, like as someone said from earlier, that no one in my family is from civil services, and neither no my close relatives, no one. So I really believe in the right guidance for the clarity. So before moving on to the modules from the next classes, I was just like, since you will be covering the GS part, I had a question for optional. And since you had PSIR, I would like some guidance from you. Can I just go forward with that?
See, for PSIR, it's been a while. Okay, for GS, I can be the guy right now. For PSIR,
picking up
if
the
everything goes
optional
well,
subject.
if we do things diligently, we might start something new for you, especially for PSIR. I'm in talks with a few of
No,
my
sir.
friends.
So I was
Yeah.
just like, I had two subjects in my mind, but it's just that I do not want to take the opinions of every other random guy. So I want to take your opinion about selecting which between the two subjects would I like this, because my background is geography, and I had some my electives were pol science, but I really enjoyed reading pol science. But my honors subject is geography. So just for the right guidance, studying the optional subject is my responsibility. I understand that, but just for the right guidance, because I understand that 0.5 marks also matters to getting into the top 100. So which optionals should I take? Because I have been fetting with the idea for the last 1 month, and it's very difficult to choose between the two.
Shatakshi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm very much here.
I think we were chatting with Rajan. So Rajan was in police services. He was a commissioner in Trivandrum, I think, right? Shatakshi? Okay, I could be wrong with his exact positioning, but he was in the police services. He cleared the exam in 2004, I think. Then he quit the IPS, went to Wharton, worked with McKinsey. Now he runs his own venture, worked in private equity as well for some time. So he said one thing very beautiful about optional, and I'll repeat that thing for you. So I think Rajan had physics as an optional, mathematics, could be wrong, but either of these two subjects. And he was very sure that I think he scored the best marks in that specific paper. But I don't know what happens, a lot of scaling happens or whatever happens after the exam, things can flounder. But the point he made was very, very interesting, that whatever optional that you take, make sure that you're amongst the best in the country. If you can ensure that, and that will happen only when you are in absolute love with the subject. For GS, that's my duty. I will want to make you fall in love with the subject, because once you're in love with subjects, you will realize that you will retain things better. You will learn things better. But if you are hating the subject, you yourself will not feel like reading through it. So make sure that whatever subject that is, would be, I don't know if Prakrit is there or not, but if it's whatever language, Telugu literature or mathematics or physics or pol science, pick one where you think you have an edge and you can be better than the others. My strategy is that, for paper 2, I think the thing with pol science is there's a lot of overlap between GS and pol science. So it saves a lot of time as well. But even same is the case with geography, so should not be a concern for you. But if you love any of these subjects, take it. But whatever you take, make sure that you top. You score the best in that specific paper. Okay, Harshini, what's your question?
Oh, hi.
You sound a lot like Mark Zuckerberg right now, but or was it just me?
There's echoing, Naman, so
Okay.
not just you.
There's a lot of echo. So fix the mic in the meantime, and we can connect with others. Okay, we'll get back to you. Priya, what's your question?
Hello, greetings, sir. Am I audible? I hope I'm audible. Okay. I wanted to speak with you and ask you a question about something very personal. I don't know whether I should be asking you this or not, because I think it should be my decision. I am working right now, but I'm very interested in, I'm very committed to carry forward this journey for Indian Foreign Services. And I just want to give my 100% and all my best for the 1 year. So I am thinking whether I should leave my job and continue this or not. So it is a very crucial question, because if I leave my job, then obviously I leave 1 year of experience, and that could give me an edge if I don't get selected later on. But on the other hand, I want to give 100% and not get distracted by other sorts of things that comes with the job. So I needed a kind of a guidance. So that's my question is.
Okay. How many of you have heard of a person called Mohnish Pabrai? So Mohnish Pabrai is an ace investor. He lives in Boston. I think he shuttles between Boston and Texas, not sure. I think he said one thing very beautifully, that, when he was working, he wanted to launch a startup, which he eventually did and made millions out of it, and then made billions after being in investing space. And he said that I always did the bare minimum in my job, to an extent that they will not fire me. So if you think that you can manage 2 hours of preparation plus 2 hours of reading on daily basis along with a job, continue with the job, but then take a sabbatical before your prelims, take a proper sabbatical before your mains, and see if you can also carry through it into interviews. Okay. But if you're thinking, it's definitely hindering with my progress and I'm little confident in terms of my journey, quit it. But don't do it right now. I think 4 hours on a daily basis should not be difficult for next 3-4 months. See how the journey is going. If you are very confident about clearing the exam, you can start treating your job as a side job and your dream of getting into foreign service as a main job. So make sure that your plan A remains plan A. It should not remain plan B. Don't just focus on plan B. So it's a very personal choice. There are many benefits also of being in job. It gives you good routine. It gives you a sense of confidence. But but the goal would be, just do the bare minimum. Do not worry too much about office politics. And you should have your goal, clear in your mind that I want to be in the foreign services in specific here. And for that, I need to do 2 XYZ things. Okay. By the way, this is 4 hours routine will be just for a few months. Thereafter, it can increase as well once we reach closer to the exam. But for now, 4 hours should be sufficient. Great. Anuradha, what's your question?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Naman. Actually, my question was somehow related to Priya's question. I used to be working. I quit because I wanted to prepare for the exam completely. It was an FMCG Unilever. And it used to be very hectic because I was in supply chain. There were commitments around the clock. The factory just can't stop. So I left it. But what I wanted to ask is during this journey, it's almost 1.5 years right now. Should I get my job back and then be preparing, because now I'm a little anxious. I have joined the conventional coaching program, and I'm really confident in this because I've heard you talking on YouTube a lot, and I really relate to this program also. That is why what I wanted to ask is very somehow related to what Priya just asked, but quite the opposite, because I really am not sure what to do right now. Very anxious space.
I think it's a good question. See, again, you cannot prepare for this exam if you're anxious. You will mess it up badly. Snafu is the word for messing things really badly. So make sure that if you're not anxious, you're very calm. What would you need to do to be calm? Think along those lines. If you think, getting a job will curb all my anxieties, go ahead with it. But make sure your plan A should be plan A. I think we also have something called Plan B's for civil services via GJ Impact Fellowship. You can check that out as well, so that you can, so if and when you're preparing for or applying for Harvard or Stanford or whatever schools, you can showcase GJ Impact Fellowship as your work experience. And it aligns very well with the papers that you will write within GJI. So you will be, but that's a story for different day when things are messed up. But that is another option that you can explore if you have the time. Okay. But make sure that you do not prepare for this exam with anxiety. You could ruin things. Because what will happen with anxiety is that every new YouTube video will give you new anxiety. You will have 15 strategies to clear civil services, but nothing will work for you because every week your strategy is changing. And this is my humble request from here on. Do not now watch YouTube videos, even mine. Don't watch my YouTube channel also, because there are so many strategies. You need to now start working on strategies. Implementation is always poor, right? In India, formulation is easy. So let's make sure that you start with implementing whatever you formulated and stick with those methodologies. It will take time, it will take effort, but you will realize in the long run, you will really benefit. So do not be influenced by random strategies that come on the internet. You have to make sure that whoever is giving that strategy, you have to score 100 marks more than that person. So that strategy will not work for me because you're aiming for something gold. Okay. Muskan, I think, yeah, go on. What's your question?
Yes, hello. So the question that I have for you falls along the lines of something that Ananya had asked you, but if you could throw some more light on how to choose an optional subject, So to give you my perspective, I'm a student of law. I'm in my final year. And so in regards of like the access to study material in a sophisticated manner, like it's going to be a big advantage for me. And I'm also intrigued by law as a subject as well. However, I am intimidated by the technical aspects of the theory because I think that has to do with the 2-year, like the switch that was made to the online education system, and I was lacking as a student. That, and as compared to, so the two other options that I have in my mind are history and political PSIR. Which benefits me. Why I would choose it is because it falls under my area of interest. Plus, I think when it comes to ease of understanding and comprehension, I'm more confident in those two subjects. So if you could guide me in how to like make a decision based on that.
Okay, 2 points, Muskan. Great question. The first is it depends on when are you appearing for the exam. If you are going to appear in 2024, right now, don't worry about the optional. Just get a good grasp, good understanding of subjects across disciplines. Let's read through geography. You will have anywhere to read geography, read through polity, read through economics, read through history. Just get a basic understanding of what all these subjects are. Okay. And when the time comes, methodology number 2 has to be extremely simple. If you think you will, number 1, love the subject, and number 2, can perhaps top the exam in the entire India or can be among the top 5% in that specific subject, take that subject. Do not base your decisions based on that my neighbor took geography optional or history optional and got a good rank, so I can also do the same. No. Whatever you love doing, take that subject. It will do wonders for you. Okay. But whatever subject that you take, make sure that ample material is available. There are standard answers that you will have to write in your optional and you will get good marks. Write standard answers. For example, in polity, in IR, you might read a lot of Hobbes, but if you link it with international and global affairs, in terms of whatever is happening in the arena, you will score better than your counterparts. So learn static, learn theory, and eventually take up the subject that you find fascinating and wherever you can score best. Do not base your decisions based on what others are doing. Okay. Kamshati, what's your question?
Yes, sir. I'm here because of the YouTube videos and your write-ups, like many of us are. So I wanted to ask you about this program exactly, like what kind of exposure to specifically the foreign services we will be getting in this program? And because I'm here for that exposure, because I've gone through YouTube videos and everything, and very less information is available regarding the services, like what exactly happens in the services and all of those things.
See, I'll be honest, I'm not a tutor, I'm not a teacher, and this is not an institution. This is an experience that we're creating for you so that you can get into the foreign services. The goal should be to clear prelims, top your mains, and top your interviews so that you can get into the foreign services. It is a travesty that many youngsters have no idea about foreign services and they reject it prima facie because of ill advice. Okay, there are many coaching institutes, that ends with the IAS. So we thought, there should be something for the IFS. I was talking to Sumit. Sumit is the GS in the Ministry of External Affairs. When he appeared for UPSC exam in his 4th attempt, he did not fill in any other service of preference, just the IFS. He got 40 something rank. He went on to become deputy ambassador in Myanmar. Today he's a GS in MEA in Delhi. Sumit said, you can Google his name. And there are many like him, but they do not have the clarity like him. So via this initiative, the goal is that my dream is that you all go on to become diplomats. You can end up with IPS or IAS. That's your prerogative. But I really see, it's extremely important that proud people who have a lot to contribute to countries' foreign policy, they become part of the foreign services. Okay, they should not be folks who got a bad rank or didn't have the desire and got stuck with the IFS. Unfortunately, there are many civil servants like that. So that's the goal. The goal is not to give you exposure about IFS. The goal is to ensure that you get into the IFS. What will you do with the exposure in the classroom setting? You should be living that dream. Great. Twinkle, what's your question?
So I had 2 questions. So the first was regarding this one video that I had stumbled across, where one of the toppers, she mentioned that whenever she came across one headline, for example, if it was about poaching of a rhino in one of the national parks, she'd research about the national park and then the animal that was poached. So she'd basically, build back. And that sounded like a good strategy at that time because it makes sense. But then I felt like, why would one overwhelm themselves with such information? Because then, there's no end to it. one, falls down a rabbit hole basically. But she was
Okay.
one of the toppers, so I don't want to discredit her methodology as well.
Great question. Where is my friend who cleared the mains and is appearing for interview? Can you raise your hand again or wave your hand? I can't see you. Abhimanyu, was it right?
Yes, sir.
Abhimanyu, when you appeared for prelims examination,
Yes.
did you know all the answers?
Not really, to be honest.
No, and no one can.
Yep.
You make conjectures. You can, if you were to read all the books, if you were very diligent in all the subjects, you can, with short, approach, you can mark 60% answers with almost surety. But then when you check back your paper, you will realize that you've made some blunders. That will happen with you. That will happen with all the toppers. But then comes the game of conjectures. What are conjectures? Conjectures are conclusions that you make. This is limited information. Consultants use various techniques for it: qualitative, quantitative, so on and so forth. Logical reasoning. You need to develop that conjectural mindset because you cannot know everything and you're not expected to know everything. You need to make educated conjectures in your prelims, in your mains, and in your interviews. Okay. So everything you can't learn. It's a lot of syllabus, and they might, and they don't care about it. But you need to make educated guesses. And my dream would be that all of attempt all the answers, all the questions in the prelims, all the questions in the mains, but make beautiful conjectures. 60% is at most surety, 40% make conjectures. And for that, we will discuss a few hacks and strategies. Okay. About the topper strategy, do not worry about it because everyone has a different strategy. It might have worked for her or him, but may not work for millions of others. It might make you more anxious. But I'm just reading about rhinos now. I might have missed out on so much stuff, just rhinos and environment. Don't do that mistake. You can make that mistake, but if you have a lot of time. But my assumption is I'm a very lazy guy, and I'm hoping and I'm assuming that all of you are lazy folks, hence you are the misfits. So make efficient use of your time. So do bare minimum, but make sure that you do that with extreme diligence, that no one can challenge you in those concepts. If something about rhinos come, you use your pre-knowledge or biases or unbiases, and then make a beautiful conjecture. It could be right, it could be wrong, but let's aim to make it right.
And so I had one more question. For optional subjects, I just Googled it right now. So I just saw history, geography, political science. So my background is in none of those subjects. The last time I studied them was probably in class 9 or 10. So how do I find which subject I'm interested in? Because there's a passion, and when you view at subjects from an entertainment point of view, if you're watching a history documentary, that's different. But if I get bored with the subject, so how do I best explore my interests during this time, since we are a year ahead? So I want to make the right optional choice. Like you earlier said also, that if you are picking up an optional, make sure that you're the best in the nation. So what strategy do I use to discover my interest, which will help me?
Okay, I'm coming across a lot of questions about optionals. So you all people are very lucky because there's a lot of time between now and when you appear for the exam. Okay, so do not worry about options at this stage. As of now, just experience the subjects. See if you like geography. Just explore and flirt a little bit with history or polity, right? And if you are really fascinated by any of these subjects, then look at the question papers of past optional papers. What kind of questions are asked? Can you answer them? In all likelihood, you will not be. But still, look, are you finding these questions to be very exciting? Or do you want to read through these kind of questions? If the answer is yes, then that should be your optional. And we can discuss this when the time comes, okay? But right now, do not fret about so many questions. The list is going to be endless. Let's start the journey. Let's start with module 1. That is history. We'll move on to module 2 in some time. And just enjoy the journey and enjoy the process. And whatever you're doing, do that with utmost sincerity. There should be no qualms that I should have given, I should have read, I should have blocked my YouTube, and I did not. Or I should have blocked LinkedIn or Instagram. I did not do that. It's a waste of time. Okay, even though all of you came from YouTube over here, but believe me, it's a waste of time. And I think, and you should use it to your advantage. Many of the youngsters who are appearing for this exam, they're wasting their time on YouTube, looking at endless strategies. It should be your strength that you read standard books, you analyze past papers, you participate in these discussions. Do that for some time and block all the nonsense, and you will realize how productive you are. And this can be your edge. Many people will not do this. we'll all read through various strategies, and those strategies are, never implemented. Okay, Gangadhar, what's your question?
Hello, Naman. Hi. So Naman, I just wanted to check with you. Yes, we are here to clear the. We are here to clear the civil services thing. But just wanted to check with you, like with all the learnings that we are going to get here. So we are a working some of us who are here are working professionals. So just wanted to check with you, will there be any kind of a path where you could guide us in transitioning if the plan A is not working? Can we go for go into this global governance initiative that you have? Is there any kind of setup for that, or people who want to after writing the after writing the attempt, if people want to give another attempt, okay, they can do it. But if people want to
No, they
transition
cannot.
into
They
go
have
on,
just give
right?
one
Can we
attempt.
do that?
Promise me this, you all will give just one attempt. Do not make this a 5-year plan. Get
Yeah,
into any
yeah.
services and then you can give the attempt. But do not, waste your time taking a drop here, because the world has dramatically changed. You can do so many things across the world. I was in
Yeah.
Istanbul a few days ago, and I met an Indian diplomat there, a young diplomat, and he was contemplating doing an MBA and leaving the services. Because the world is your oyster these days, yeah. So there's Nishant Jain. I don't know if you know Nishant Jain. Nishant was the OSD2 power minister in India. He's currently at Stanford doing his MBA. So there are so many things that you can do. Do not make this your end goal. Do not make this a 5-year plan. Make this your end goal for 1 year, but don't make this a 5-year plan.
Yes.
And in
Naman.
terms
So,
of the world of private sector, GGI is for that. And GGI will ensure that you thrive in the world of private sector. It's not for, there are folks who have done tremendous work after graduating from GGI, but that is your plan B. Do not worry about it for now. Let's focus on plan A. Let's not even bring plan B in debate as of now. Once things fail, we can regroup and we can strategize. But for now, let's focus on plan A. And don't think about losing, because you have all the, I'm taking a bet because in this entire ecosystem, we did not select anyone. We accepted everyone, because I want to take a bet in my methodology that regardless of your background, regardless of your college education, if you can follow some certain procedures, you can crack this exam. So please trust me and trust yourself. Do not think a lot about plan B for now. And if you want to think about it, if you think it can curb your anxieties, then check GGI out. But my goal is focus on planning and invest your time here. Otherwise, you will keep on stressing about nonsense. Okay. And you will see, Gangadhar, a stark improvement in the way you communicate, even in your workspace, after 3 months or 2 months of your Misfits journey. The way you communicate, the way you structure your thoughts, the kind of knowledge that you have, the way you analyze the world, many things will change. Great. Manish, what's your question?
Am I audible, Naman?
Yes, Manish, you are.
So first of all, thank you for just starting the initiative, and I seriously can't thank you enough for this initiative, as I have always been a misfit.
Okay, just a quick interjection before I forget.
Yeah.
I did not speak of one basic ground rule, and that is that in every class from here on, even from today, you have to figure out 5 things that you learned. When we begin with history, things will become very easy for you. But in every class, you have to think of 5 things so that you can actively listening in the conversations. 5 things that you learned in today's class. These learnings will be very different for one person versus the other person, but you need to think from that perspective. Could be structuring, could be a factual knowledge, could be anything, but you need to have those 5 things ready. And I will cold call in the end. What are the 5 things that you learned today? But eventually in 360 days, those 5 things will accumulate into a huge number. And it won't be just 5 things in every class. It could be 15 things, 30 things. But let's prioritize on 5 things, 5 most important things in every class. Okay, Manish, go on.
Yes. So mine was not a question, actually. It's more of a suggestion. And since you have been focusing on dialogue, building dialogue, and to fully utilize the cohort, the batch, as you said it, I want that if we can connect on a platform on a regular basis other than the class, let's say a WhatsApp group or something, so that I can have views of all the other people in the cohort on various subjects which we are reading or something like that.
That's a good suggestion. And even I was discussing this with my team that we should do this. But then what we realized is that with such things, you end up wasting a lot of your time. We might create a WhatsApp group, but if one person says, you know, I want to create another group and we will discuss polity, and you're discussing ridiculousness. My goal for now is that 2 hours diligently in classes, 2 hours after classes, every day. What will happen with these groups is that you will forge new bonds. That's good, but you will end up wasting a lot of your time. So even we were contemplating on this, but what we have realized is you can do this independently if you want. You can check with people independently, but my advice is don't do it. Do not rely on others. Just rely on the classroom for now and have belief in yourself. Collaborations will happen in the classes. Will be debates between the classes, and you will make new friends. But I don't want you to, you know, go on wasting time on Telegram or WhatsApp because it's very time-consuming activity. But still, let me think. If we can do this very efficiently, we can give this a thought. But we were a little reticent in doing this. But a good suggestion, we'll still ponder over this. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Harshini, what's your question? I hope the mic is absolutely in perfect condition.
Hello.
Perfect.
I think it's good now. Hi. Hi, Naman. Hi, everyone. I just don't have a question though. I like to add on what you said regarding how to write the exam, about what is the edge you have about every other people who read the same books. I think the main part comes about forming opinions. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's a very important or aspect of when you're writing, especially for these kind of exams. UPSC or even in the interview, your ability to form an opinion on a topic or in a societal is a very vital factor for this exam, is what I believe. As you said, the conjecture, ability to make conclusions with the information or forming opinions is what I say.
Absolutely. Very well said. See, what will happen is, you know, once you start speaking in these classes, you will also realize that your communication will also improve. And this will get reflected in your mains exam and also in your interviews. The confidence will improve because now there will be no introverts. There will be introverts, but they will have to speak out loud in Stanford style approach. Okay. Makes perfect sense, Harshini. Thank you so much. Ashfaq, what's your question?
Good afternoon, Naman.
Good afternoon.
I actually have two questions. One was regarding the number of attempts for the UPSC. As we have already mentioned that the success rate in the UPSC is 0.5%. And I've also seen your post where you have discussed UPSC as a means and not an end for achieving your goals. So why, why we misfitters have to promise you that we will give you only one attempt and not more than that? This was my first question. And the second question was regarding the standard books. When will we notified whether what books do we have to read and all?
Okay, I've decided on history for now that we will begin. So we will start with Tamil Nadu books for ancient and medieval. And for modern, we will pick up Spectrum. That is those will be the books for the module 1. For module 2, we'll get back to you with books. We're still debating between a few books, but for we are tilting towards Tamil Nadu books, but we'll give you uncertainty after the first class or the second class in this case. And do not worry about books. You know, in some way or the other, you have to finish certain books. This will create a good basics for you. Eventually, you will have to practice things. Again, level 4 will come there. And we will talk through it once we are beginning with the journey. And about your question on why you should promise me just one attempt, because I don't want you to ruin your life. To be honest, I think it is very much possible for all the 100 people out there to get into civil services. Not the IFS, but getting a good rank in civil services in your first attempt. So if you are appearing for another attempt with some service in the background, let's say you have auditing services or defense services or railways and stuff. And if you're appearing an exam with those services as a backup, that's absolutely fine. But do not keep on appearing for this exam, once you've failed prelims or mains and multiple times, you're just ruining your 20s in this. That's the promise that I'm requesting. So do not make this a 5-year Soviet style plan. It will ruin your life. It has ruined many lives. And it is very much possible to clear this exam in one attempt. Getting a specific rank could be a challenge, but clearing the exam is possible. Okay. I think to all the other folks, Khushi, you will have to have your videos on if you were to ask questions. So Adarsh, Site, same request. Have your videos on and we'll talk. Off to you, Khushi. Go on.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Actually, I'm a college student and I'm in first year. And my college schedule is very hectic. Even like we had a session till right now 12:30, and it was also with an IFS officer. We met with Ambassador Gurjeet Singh, and he gave a detailed description about what service is about and everything, which like inspired me a lot. But I have a second question of like I'm getting a second thoughts of joining army also. So like how, and I'm like total like 50% in both the field. So how to clear that, like which one I should go for? And second, like will you change the timing? Like if I'm watching recorded video, I will feel like I'm just watching YouTube video.
No, I don't think it will be YouTube video. Debates will be very much engaging. So, and see, the goal is not to be entertained. For entertainment, there are various comedians doubling up as teachers. So that's not the goal. The goal is that you are learning certain concepts. You can double the speed, watch the recorded videos, and grasp the concepts. Goal is to clear civil services. Goal is not to just engage in classrooms. Okay. And in terms of class timings, for now, we will go on with these timings. But for those who are in colleges and working professionals, I'll discuss this with my team to have a weekend batch. So for example, we're thinking of Sunday as a day where the request would be that you watch the recordings for past 4 days. And on Sundays, we do doubt sessions or we do a quick revision for 4 to 5 hours. So that every week, certain concepts are internalized via discussions. About your question about the army and the armed forces, I did a podcast with a good friend of mine who retired as Colonel Ibrahim Chirian. And the podcast will be out. It's a 2-hour, 30 minutes podcast where we have discussed what are the challenges of being in the army? How can you pivot into the world of private sector? In fact, many army officers, they also go on deputations as defense attaché in various missions in India. Okay, Russia has quite a few defense attachés. US has. So that is a good career as well. But I mean, it depends a lot on your personal preferences. But do watch that podcast; it will give you a lot of clarity in terms of which profession makes the most sense. Okay, let's talk to Adarsh. What's your question?
Hi, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so you said reading is necessary only after the class, and class are 4 days a week. And in the mail also, there was it was said that to come without any bias and unlearn everything. And you said that in today's session also. And is there any problem with reading parallelly? Should we or should
No
we
problem.
not reading?
No problem with that.
Okay.
You can read things parallelly. You can do pre-reads.
Okay.
No worries about that. But my goal is that my understanding is that whenever you're reading things, you should be very efficient in those readings. So for example, after the class, if you read through things, you will finish certain chapters in, let's say, 15 minutes or 30 minutes. But if you were to read things on your own, you can understand those chapters really well, but may take you a couple of hours. So if you have a lot of time, you can go through those readings. No worries about that. And even if you come with biases, you have opinions. And those opinions will also allow you to retain things. We may disagree with your opinions, or we may agree with those opinions. But in that process, you will be learning a lot. So it's absolutely fine if you were to read things in parallel. Anything, Adarsh? Okay, I think his question is addressed. Let's talk to Maitri.
Hello, sir. Sir, can you please tell us about yourself? Like, what do you actually do? How do you engage with the foreign institutes, etc.?
We will do that across classes. Okay, I'll be dropping in few of my experiences, and we'll be tying those experiences with the core learnings. So do not fret.
Sure.
We'll talk about that in detail.
Thank you.
Snehal, what's your question?
Hello, sir. My question is related to note making. So usually every topper prefers making notes, sir. So what would our idea be towards the strategy or towards the note making strategy? Because coming upon a lot of videos, I get to know that note making is the basic portion that we as the aspirants should do. So, sir, what is your opinion or what is your idea upon note making? So, sir, should we do it or should we not do it?
Like I said, for all those aspiring for the IAS, your goal should be to become collectors of districts, not collectors of books or collectors of notes. Okay. Notes are, I think it's note making is one of the ways and means through which you can further enhance your attention. If you're going through the classes and you're also, fidgeting with fews and scrabbling through a few notes, it might sort of put in certain things that you might otherwise forget. And this is perhaps the reason why I'm saying that in every class, you need to write 5 things that you learned in today's class. And we might discuss in that class itself via cold calling. But in the first layer, my goal is to ensure that you start loving the subject. Do not fret about note making. Otherwise, what will happen is when you worry too much about note making, you will end up doing nothing. So start the subject, finish the subject once, and the second time when you read things, that time you can start making notes. That's my advice. But it is important. It's one of the ways through which you can also learn things. Gangadhar, your turn. What's the question?
Thank you, Nam. So this is something regarding to which you just shared regarding that we'll be starting off with ancient history. Just put a message across in the group on the chat also. But that is many people tell that we need to start with the modern history, right? So what is the idea behind you that you wanted to go with ancient first? Can you please clarify? Thank you.
See, I think what's the reason? Why do people say that we should begin with modern history? I think the usual reason is that, it's tested a lot in prelims examination, which is absolutely right. But we do have a lot of time. So let's start with ancients, the things that you might not consider worthy at the end of the day. Move on to medieval, and then move on to the modern. That's how the entire history should be like. You will start appreciating the linkages between the thought processes of Gandhi and the thoughts that Shankaracharya had. You will start appreciating caste system or rejecting caste system when you read Buddha or the movements that took place in the 5th century. Okay, so I think history should. You cannot. I think it was Winston Churchill, I think, who once said, the farther you can look into the past, you can look into the future, right? And you cannot understand the present and the future if you do not understand the past. So it's extremely critical that you start, with what is India, why India has its name, why is it called Bharat in the Article 1 of the Indian Constitution. We can begin with, invasion of Europe, but in that case, invasion of Europeans, but in that case, we might miss out on what India is and why Europeans thought it's worthy enough to be invaded and not Burkina Faso. So you need to, you will appreciate India, you will learn a lot about India once you understand what does India stand for. But this brings me to a new question that I will have for all of you. Why are we beginning with history? Why not geography? Or why not polity? My friend went into further depths about history, but why, forget about modern history, ancient history, but why are we beginning with history? Yogita? Yogita, I think, can you hear me, Yogita? You are on mute. Let me check with Ikshu. And then we can talk to Muskan.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, hi Naman. I think history, because we kind of have to understand what our country is in order to go forth about how we are looking to govern it or what it is all about. So history is like the sort of like an ID card would be for us, for an individual. So I think that is why it's important. I mean, we need to understand what has happened, how our country has shaped to become what it is now, and for that we need to like talk about the past.
Okay,
Maybe
fair
that's
enough. Muskan, what do you think? Why history? Why not geography? Or why not polity? Because it's important to learn about the polity. Right?
So I believe history is the most relevant because in the end, the civil services, you are representing India. So if you focus more on history, I think it also ties the nationalist spirit that you might have to the country as well. And when you're very well aware of what has led to the development of India, how it has become in today's age, how it has evolved. Those are the aspects which are very, very significant for the this particular career, is what I believe.
So I think I just spoke of, honorable or dishonorable Winston Churchill a few minutes ago about his views on history. And he used to bark a lot. As an Indian, I would say that. And I will not think twice about his barking, but in this case, he was correct to some extent. If you were to look at if you were to look at Jeff Bezos today, Jeff Bezos is the founder of Amazon. He also acquired Washington Post, right? Elon Musk today is in a way controlling Twitter. You have Mukesh Ambani controlling Network 18, media house. You have Adani now controlling NDTV. Can we see, has this thing ever happened in history before? Why are they doing this? Why Elon Musk wants to control Twitter, or why controlling media is becoming important? Manish, you're on mute.
I feel they're trying to control the narrative and how things have been things are being done here, and that's what gives them the power to like control the narrative as a whole by controlling the
Exactly.
media.
And has this happened before in history? If yes, do you have any examples for it?
So I think most of, like, I'm not sure about it, but one of my conjectures, as you said, would be that in the ancient times when there were kings to rule, they had all the media or all the information just given out to the people by themselves and not really the other way around, because it's a democracy now and we have our views and opinions.
Okay. So I think via Washington Post, Jeff Bezos is trying to nudge public policies. Via Twitter, Elon is doing something similar. Via Network 18 or via NDTV, Indian conglomerates perhaps might be trying to nudge the public opinions. But if you were to go back in history and look at the most powerful people who try to nudge the public policy, who were they? Mahatma Gandhi used to edit one paper, Young India, right? Lala Lajpat Rai began with that paper. Adam Bikaji Kama had a paper. Bande Matram?
Vande Bharat, I guess.
That's fact. But then you have other which paper was started by Tilak?
Maratha and Kesari.
Exactly. So these questions were asked, by the way, in some way or the other in the UPSC prelims.
Okay.
But the question is, even they were doing the same thing. They were trying to form opinions. They were trying to put forth their opinions. And they eventually became some of the most well-renowned leaders of the independence movement. Not just in India, across the globe, folks wanted to control the opinions. Newspaper were critical. So what I'm trying to say is history will teach you why someone would want to nudge public policy. Geography will tell you that Himalayas or Himalayas are the great barriers that saved India from various invasions. Is it true? History will tell you that there were various passes that were used by the Turks, to Hunans, to many others, Mongols, who came into India using those specific passes to India. Geography will tell you the beauty of the alluvial soil in the northern plains of India. And history will tell you why those alluvial soil, why those rivers were there and why those rivers led to greatest civilizations on earth. So history is extremely critical, whether you're analyzing policy or whether you're thinking from Monsoon's perspective in geography. And therefore, we're beginning with history. And hopefully this will give you a good contextual picture about where is India heading, where the world is heading, and what all can we learn and unlearn from history. Akib, do you have any thoughts? But you will have to have your video on. I can't see you. I still cannot hear you. Can you try again?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Hi, Naman. Yeah. You are asking about what thoughts like?
Your hand was raised, so I thought you have a point to make.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say that I joined this program like to communicate. I think I'm quite very weak in communicating.
Do not worry about that. You will be aced in some time.
Yeah.
Okay, and
yeah.
do not worry about making mistakes also.
Yes. My sole purpose is just to like interact, and I think while discussing, we can memorize a lot of facts. Actually, I'm preparing for this exam from last 1 year, but the problem is that I'm not able to retain the information. And like just before a moment, you like related very in a very good manner, like how history should be studied first. Because first, if we are able to study the history, then only we will be able to link the geography, political aspects, and various other subjects in a right manner with the contemporary world. So these were the
I
things.
think a few days ago, I was talking to a friend of mine. He became McKinsey partner now in New York. So he's not Indian now. So he took a citizenship in the US.
Yes.
And he was telling me that British rule in India was such a remarkable thing, that it unified India. It unified India. And I was astounded to hear that. And he also quoted our former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh when he said the same. When I think in the official speeches, our Honorable Prime Minister spoke of the wonderful rule of Lord Curzon. But the point is, are we sure? Was India united by the British, or we had a unified India before? Or do Britishers, they take unnecessary credit for it?
Yeah. The Britishers took unnecessary credit, but because we were fighting, like the various segments were broken. Mughals were fighting. The decentralization of Mughal power was there, and various.
No, you're still not answering the question. Great attempt. Don't worry.
Yes.
And we have not even touched these topics. We will cover these in detail once the time comes. But I'm just pondering and thinking with you before we move on to the next segment. But the point is, Ananya, you have a point to make? Go on.
Okay, so the first question that you asked, that why history, not geography. So like it was a question that we also asked when we were studying multidisciplinary approach in geography. My topic was given by the professor, historical geography, do the PPT. So I came across this quote, which I really stuck to it, that like if you do not know your history, you are a leaf who do not know that it's a part of a tree. So I was given I was doing the architectures of the Turkey and how it influences the people. And I'll just give you one example, that the Indian chicken curry has motifs like the prints are taken inspired from the nature as well as from the architecture. and doing the Indian IVC and showcase, everything. Someone also said about the edicts and narration is power. And our professor used to say that, it's the truth. Some might contradict it, but histories are written by winners. So nowadays it's changing. Subaltern history is also, people are taking up subaltern histories and researching about it. So yeah, it's very important to me that to clarify why, the why part is very important. And I think that's the reason that we should start with history first.
And I'll give you another example. So, and by the way, to answer your question about the McKinsey partner, who was saying that India was united with the British, and he's definitely wrong. We had mega empires, the Mauryans, the Guptas, they united India in the past. There's Shankaracharya, who had mutts across the various parts of India. So we will talk about that in later and in great length on those aspects of history. But I like the point that Ananya just mentioned, that history is written by winners. Can anyone tell me why India's capital was shifted from Calcutta to Delhi in 1911? Or the proposal was put forth in 1911. I'll talk to, let me just seek opinion of the person who is going to appear for the interview. I just want to test him out so that he also performs really well in the interview for some time. Where are you, my friend? Okay, I can't see him for now for some reason. Is it Abhimanyu? Okay, so yeah, anyone, why was India's capital shifted from Calcutta to Delhi?
So it was done as part of an incentive to appease the Muslims who had been, in some sense, insinuated by the fact that Bengal's partition was undone.
Ikshu, is he right?
No, sir. I'm just going to, I think so that's the correct answer, but obviously I can be wrong. I think that's because the capital of Mughals was Delhi. So they wanted to, and isn't it?
Delhi had 7 cities, when British, they shifted the capital to Delhi, they didn't come to Chandni Chowk or the old Delhi. They could not imagine living in those dilapidated cities and buildings. They created something new, the New Delhi.
Yeah.
Edward Lutyens came in and he designed the entire thing. It took some time. Great buildings were formulated. You might perhaps work in the MEA, that is in Lutyens' Delhi. You would be allocated houses over there, not in the old Delhi. But why did they shift the capital? So there can be multiple arguments. Some would say that, Delhi made strategic decision because it's the central part of India.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. But if you would look at geography, can you think of any reason? What's the commonest thing that happens a lot in Bengal? Floods.
Floods, yeah.
Yeah. And I think a few months ago, I think last year itself, Calcutta was drowning in some way or the other. That same situation used to happen a lot in the past age. And when floods happen, diseases spread. When diseases spread, will Britishers like that? No, right? They would want to shift to some way or the other, right? To some other place. But they will not shift to Old Delhi or East or Patel Nagar. They would want to create a new Delhi because they want to live in good locations. I'm just thinking with you. I'm just playing with the idea. If the books will say, just tell me what's wrong with the logic.
No, there's nothing wrong. I think that's true. Weren't there multiple factors? One is obviously because Delhi, the geographical setting of it. But isn't there also another reason that, again, I might be wrong, but I would like to take a guess, that, by the time they shifted the capital, it was proper, it was the Raj, the British Raj, and they wanted to be known as the rulers or the imperial rulers of pan-India.
There can be historical significance because Delhi was the capital for many, many empires.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yes, before the Mughals, before them the Sultanate, and then before them the Rajputs also. So I think that, but obviously the geography aspect is also right.
But can there be any other reason, why so many battles were fought in that region? What was the reason? So the thing is, do not worry about these answers for now. You just need to question things, at least in these discussions. Once you read through books, you will get some more clarity and you will love reading books thereafter. I think we are exceeding the time. So for the next class, we will be doing it on Monday. But before I move towards the next class, I want to tell you that you will all receive an email from Misfits granting you access to the LMS portal. Okay. Many of you might receive it in spam folder, so do check the spam folder as well. The video will be uploaded there itself. And from next class onwards, you just have to press on the link and you will join the class as well. All the back testing will be done from the LMS portal. So what I'll do is I'll just show you a screen that will give you some insights on how to log into that portal. I don't want you all to be confused on the main day. Just give me a second. So can you all see my screen? Not yet. Can you all see my screen? So you will be added to a group called the Indian Foreign Services in the LMS portal. You will receive an email such as this. So your username would be something that you have used to make the payment. That will be your username. Your password will be password. Very innovative. So make sure of one thing. Once you log into the portal, change your password. Okay. So you will click on this link. The link will open. Save this link somewhere so that you can easily access it. You do not press on buy now button. You've already bought the program. You just click on the sign in. Okay. Once you sign in, type in your email address, type in the password, sign in. And then you can access all the recordings, all the lessons. So for example, whenever the module 1 begins, click there and you can access the recording or the live classes. Any questions? It's very easy. There is going to be no login portal on the website. It makes website look ugly. Just save this recording, save this link, press on this link whenever the next class is there. We will also upload the Tamil Nadu book. You can also find it anywhere on the internet that you will read through after the classes. Okay. Tanya, what's your question? Shivani has a question that is the password or ID? No, password is password. PASSWORD. But make sure that you change it after logging in. You can easily change that and then save it. Okay. Go on, Tanya. Yes, password in small letters.
Hello, am I audible?
Someone is audible,
Hello.
but I don't know who is this. Tanya, yes.
I was actually thinking of taking the TISNET exam this year. So would it be beneficial in terms of giving the exam?
See, I don't know. I have never given that exam. All I know is about the UPSC Civil Services. I really don't hope that you go on to have those Group B, Group C services. Those are not worth it. I've seen the functionaries. It's very frustrating. So if you're aiming for a government job in India, aim for a Group A service. And you all have the credentials. You're very young. Do not aim low. Do not self-reject yourself. Because many youngsters do that, unfortunately. You should not do that. And just trust the process and we'll make sure that you go into the foreign services. And hopefully, after getting into the foreign services, you take forward the legacy of Misfits. So I don't know about the exam that you are preparing for.
About the TISNET exam, the Tata Institute of Social Sciences.
Mine is a very controversial opinion. I don't have high regard for that school. For public policy, I am of the opinion that in India, if you were to study in a good school, could be for MBA, it will be IIMs, EBC, and ISB Hyderabad. Otherwise, life gets very difficult. You will find it very difficult to get a job. I think it's a decent brand name, but I don't think it's worth it. Don't create multiple plan Bs for yourself.
Okay, thank you.
If you were to apply to Harvard, Kennedy, or Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, we can figure out a way to provide you scholarships to study in those universities, but don't aim low. You get to live life once and make it the best attempt. You will never get to do redos here. Samadrito, what's your question? I love your name, by the way.
Yeah, so my question is, the next class you mentioned is on Monday. So it's the upcoming Monday or is it from tomorrow? Okay, it's from the upcoming Monday, right?
Yes, Monday. And the reason is, I want you all to enjoy for next 3-4 days, watch a lot of movies, because then life is going to get a little stressful from Monday onwards. And I really hope that you are diligent and very focused when you come to the class on Monday.
Right. And the second question is, will the meetings continue to happen on Zoom or will it be on the LMS platform?
It will be an LMS platform. The first one was on Zoom.
Right.
Because with Zoom, what happens is I can see a lot of people who, you can share links. But with the LMS platform, it will be more difficult for you. So much more secure.
Right.
And your recordings will also get recorded over there. So you can get access to those recordings as well.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Avinash, your turn.
Yeah. Hi, Naman. Hi, everyone.
The class time is over. If you want to chill, have a good time, you can go. But I will stay on to address all your questions.
Yeah, I don't have any question in particular, Naman. I just thought of telling you that this session has been really wonderful, right? I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be my last attempt, I guess. This is my first and last attempt. So
hopefully that's the case with you.
Yeah, no, literally also, because I was...
See, I will make sure there is no subscription plan in MisFits. No subscription plan, just one try. Okay. So
it's
yeah.
really nice that you're conducting it this way. So because see the example that you had given, right, about Delhi, so it rings so many bells, and the connections go here and there. It feels really nice to have a healthy discussion like this. So thank you for that. Looking forward for the classes.
You need to tell me now. You're the first person who I will cold call. 5 things that you learned in today's session.
Okay, so one is listening. So I heard a lot from a lot of people, and I learned very many new things, right? That's one. The other would be the approach that I would like to take, or the approach that you can take through these classes. So I can take multiple approaches from what you will be teaching, right? That will be another one for me. Third thing is patience. Like you said, it is going to take some time. I completely understand that. I've been working for 9 years now, right? So I know how long it takes to acquire a skill, and it does take time. But yes, we will eventually get there. That's the third thing. Fourth would be perseverance. Whatever it is, stick with it. Stick to your schedule, and whatever you have said, whatever our peers or friends are going to say, we are going to stick to our plan. We are going to stick to what we are going to do. And I think I've covered 4. I think one more is left.
No worries. Great attempt. Huge round of applause for you. Ananya, what's your question?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to lower the hand. But if I may give the 5 things, since you have asked.
Would love to. Yeah.
Okay. The first thing is listening, of course. You cannot be a great.
So anything that Avinash has not spoken of.
I am coming. Second is to aim big in life. Third is of course like patience, perseverance. Fourth is have a multi-dimensional approach, and the 5th thing is to work smart.
Fantastic. Great. So Shivani, what's your question? And thank you, Ananya, for
am I audible?
Yes,
am
you
I
are, Shivani.
audible? Okay, I just wanted to ask, everyone says that NCRTs are the base. Should we catch on to NCRTs?
They're not wrong.
Like before.
NCRTs are the base, but I would want to cover things for foundations.
You
but
mentioned that.
The thing is that there are so many books. I want you to focus on standard books. Revise those books. Re-revise those books. What will happen is
advice to build our base. Will you not advise us to build our base or foundation or NCRTs?
You can do that, but I'm a lazy. So I will be focused, and I'm going with the assumption that you all are lazy. You want to work efficiently and smartly. So you can go on to do those NCRTs, read those NCRTs, but my approach will be a little different. You can build that base with the classes, and when you intermingle those classes with those readings, very simple readings. And in some cases, I will be assigning NCRTs. So do not worry.
Thank you, and I agree.
But if and when you get anxious or impatient, you can go through NCRTs. But my advice is, let's go on in detail with the classes. Okay. Gangadhar, what's your question? And you will have to have your video on. Would love to.
Yes, Naman. Yeah. So thank you, Naman. So my question, there are 2 questions. One is, you told us to read the Tamil Nadu textbook, right? So that is Tamil Nadu History 11th book, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We will. I think we will upload this on LMS also in case you're not able to find it, but it's not difficult.
Okay.
I think, and you can do post readings. I'm not asking you to read it beforehand. If you want to do it, but I have no expectations.
Okay. And the second question would be, so you showed us by sharing your LMS part, right? So in the LMS, I saw there was a section for the ancient history or something. So we should be seeing that recorded session before coming Monday, right?
No recordings, nothing. You just have to enjoy your time for next 3-4 days.
Okay.
Party, do whatever you want for next 3-4 days, and from Monday onwards, we kickstart our regimen.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So come with no biases, and we're going to have discussions on the ancient history. And thereafter, it is mandatory to read those books and read the specific chapters. Post readings will be very helpful. Pre-readings might not be that helpful. If you're thinking that you will pre-read plus attend classes plus post-read, do that. But in no way possible you can avoid post-reads. After classes, you have to read. And will not take more than 2 hours. Tanya, I'll move over to Aditi. Go on.
Hello, sir. I'm Aditi. I'm currently a final year engineering student. I just wanted your opinion or a suggestion. So is it better to do a master's degree and then maybe attempt for UPSC? I don't know, for the exposure or like, I don't know, to build on your career growth as such.
So Aditi, we are honestly living in an age where degrees are becoming irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
Many of my friends who graduate from HPS, they were fired recently and are searching for jobs. So if you were to do a master's degree, do it from a top-notch business school or public policy school. Okay. Do not dream low. Do not enroll in random programs in Delhi or Gurgaon. Make plan A your plan A. In quest for degrees, you will end up wasting a lot of time. My advice, give your heart out in first attempt. If for some reason you end up failing the exam, then try for a good school. Could be Harvard, could be Stanford, and then aim for a job in the UN or World Bank and wherever. But give your best in the first attempt.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now you need to tell me 3 things that you learned in today's class. Something that hasn't been covered yet.
Okay, well, for me, it would be that I need to not be too anxious. I am a little anxious over many things. Maybe I keep comparing things or to place myself like how, up I am with whatever I'm studying or whatever I'm doing. I keep comparing myself and I don't know, I think I get anxious easily. So I need to be more patient. I need to be a good listener and I need to also a little work hard.
All right. Fair enough. I think if you all can be calm and patient, you are going to be, above and ahead of the 90% of the people who are not part of this room. So curbing your anxiety will do wonders for you. Daksh, your turn.
Thank you.
Hello, Naman sir. Hello everyone. Thank you for having me, Naman sir. Thank you for having me in the last moment, I would say, because I paid the fees in the last 10 minutes, like 10 minutes before 12 p.m. So, sir, I would like to mention one point you highlighted.
But there were 0 seats available, right? We are not accepting any. How did you get in?
I don't know, sir.
Was
Mail came.
So was there 0 seats written over there, or were there any availability of seats?
I think I don't quite remember, sir.
Okay, go on.
So 2 things I would like to highlight. One thing you mentioned was answer building is also answer writing is of course important, but answer building. And another thing you said कि there are ample number of strategies available in the market. YouTube पे कई सारे मिल जाएंगे तुमको. That know the syllabus, past year questions को analyze करो तुम and create your own strategy. So I quite buy your strategy.
Don't buy, don't reject. Just be logical in the entire approach. And hopefully, see, the thing is, I'm trying to simplify things for you. Let's move ahead in chunks. Once you gain the grasp of certain concepts, we will then pick up the pace. Okay, but for a few months, you need to start falling in love with learning. And that will not be possible if you are just scraping through the books endlessly. So now get rid of all the strategies. You have seen many videos. Now, from here on, you should promise yourself that no more strategy videos. Now, let's pick one
Okay,
strategy and
sir.
follow through it, until unless you become until unless you get into the foreign services.
And also, Naman sir, one more question. Like, I'm a newbie. I'm a first year undergrad. So I got one question. Like, is it possible to cover the whole GS part in the span of 6 months?
Yes, it is possible. And if for some reason it does not happen, we will extend the classes and we won't be charging you a penny for it. And the good thing is that we have a lot of time. We are aiming very high to finish off things diligently by September, so that you have a lot of time again to revise things and write papers. So you're going to be gearing up for 2024 and we'll try our best to ensure that that happens.
All right, all right. Thank you so much.
Muskan, what's your question?
Yes, sir. So I think my question is more or less answered. If I reflect on my learning outcomes of this session, but
Tell me three things you loved about the class today. Let's change your
well,
question.
Well, I got a lot of self-clarity, to be honest. I realized that my learning methods are more flexible, and having an exclusive online community like this is more beneficial to me because I am motivated by self-studying and also communication and all that. However, if I can go to my question, I wanted to ask you, how much importance would you place on parallelly attending physical classes like coaching institutes and stuff? Because that is something my parents want me to do, because the conventional way of education in India. However, I feel like I'm more suited to self-studying methodologies and because till now I have been investing all my energy in just conducting the research, right, to form a strategy for preparation and stuff like that. So I'm not able to make up my mind about whether or not I need the physical classes as my parents suggest. So
I think the goal is simple. See, the physical classes are irrelevant. We have moved past that age. They will come and harp on the same ideas, cover the same books. So pick one and do that diligently. Be it the physical class or be it Misfits. Pick one. See, the thing is, we are living in a world that is inundated with a lot of information. And the sad part is that a lot of that information is irrelevant information. And this irrelevant information will make you a lot anxious in the entire journey. I could have covered that, this, then, whatever. But the reality is, in the main examination, whenever you write that, you will not know more than 60% of stuff. 40%, you need to learn how to make conjectures. So build onto the smart strategy. Don't just go about cramming things, because cramming will lead to disaster. You will forget things. You will get so anxious in the end that you will crumble under pressure. So my advice, pick one, do diligently. Don't go to multiple classes. Don't rely on multiple people. Pick standard books, pick one decent institute and go ahead in the journey. Okay. And if you were to do, if you have a lot of time, do additional activities. Write a research paper, collaborate with, with MEA or do any internship. I think Sumit is recently hiring for interns in the External Affairs Ministry. So these internships can be of great relevance to you because you will be working directly with policymakers. Great. Pratham, what's your question?
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so
I'll take
I would
two
like
more
to
questions. I can see three hands, Mohammed, Prerna, and Harshini. And thereafter, we will close the class for today. So,
Yeah,
and
so
look forward to interacting with all of you in time to come. Yeah, Pratham.
I joined this session a little late. I had lab work. So I'd just like to ask, for the first few months, all we have to do is just read. We don't have to make any notes for those
If you're
particular
appearing in
subjects.
24, don't worry about making notes. Just enjoy the process. Attend classes, read through. If you think something is important, underline it or make a note of it. If you think I've spoken something very interesting, make a note in any book. But do not go with the mindset that you have to cram everything. That will not happen.
Alright,
First,
and,
level 1 should be reading. Level 2, read the standard books. Level 3, we will look at papers and then we'll analyze how to go about it.
And my situation is that I'm in my second last year of college, and next entire year, since beginning from May, I have internship. So the internship will most likely be at a finance company, either like one of the finance investment banking firm. So I guess my first attempt will be in 2025 in regards to that, because I'll be getting my college degree.
No worries. I
around
mean, that's good
August.
for you. You will have a good number of attempts. And in your case, you should just go relaxed. Attend classes, revise classes. Don't put more than 2 hours after the class, and just enjoy the process. And when time comes, you can rewatch the recordings if needed.
All right, and the sessions will be done every alternate day, or like
Yeah, sessions will be from Monday to Thursday every day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, but if you aren't, but we are also contemplating of doing another session on Sunday, so that we revise the entire thing that has been covered across the week. But let me check with my team on how that works out, because there are many people who are working professionals and they're finding it difficult to attend classes, so live classes. So watch through recordings, and we'll try our best to see if we can do something for Sunday.
and will the PDFs of the books and all be provided? Because
See, I think this is well known. If you know how to use internet, all the books are very well available. And if so, just do your search and you will figure out the book.
that's
Great. Prerna, what's your question?
Hi again. So I wanted to ask, like, history has been one of my weakest point ever, like weakest link. And I have always postponed history to the very last thing, and you can't do history at the last moment. That is what I have faced. So I just wanted to confirm that will history, like doing the Tamil Nadu board books and along with the classes, will that be enough, or would we have to refer that basic old NCRTs which everyone is raving about or saying?
So there's nothing wrong with old NCRTs. These are good books. See, the point is you need to crack the exam.
Yeah.
You're not here to do a master's degree in history. And I'm fairly certain if you are thorough with some standard books, if you revise certain standard books multiple times, if you've been attentive in classes, if you're analyzing things, if you're solving past papers, you're good to go. So do not worry that, I've missed out on this specific fact from a specific book. This will happen. But you need to stay calm. If someone from the outside says that, Tanya, you've not read this book. You should read this. Okay, say, it's fine. I don't care about that book. I will just focus on 5 books and clear this exam. This is an asymmetric bet I'm taking on you all, and you will all clear this exam. If you can be attentive in classes, read through the books, revise those books, and then when time comes, you are writing papers. That level 4 also becomes important, because eventually you need to prepare for the main exam.
Exactly.
But do not waste your time collecting books.
So the next point was, like, if I look in the short run, we are in the phase 1, we are focusing on history. So will that be enough if I completely depend on it for the prelims, at least not the answer building stage, or not the core writing of?
I don't care about 2023 prelims. We will figure out, some things are very interesting, and I think we will finish history before that. But my goal is for 2024, and I think we might cover geography also before prelims, or environment. And there will be module 1 will have history, module 2 will have environment and geography, module 3 will have polity. The goal is to cover three modules to some extent, but we're not focusing for 2023, focusing for 24.
Thank you.
Great. Harshini, your turn.
Hi, I have a question regarding as you said that books will be available online. So nothing will be provided in the LMS, right? You will just give us the names of the book and
see the books where we do not have issues with copyright, we will upload it. So for example, NCRTs, no issues with copyrights. But if you were to find Lakshmikant, we might not upload Lakshmikant. It will be one of the mandatory books for the module. But you can easily figure out. There are so many groups, and just check with any person, check with any platform. These books are readily available. I don't promote piracy. If possible, buy a book, but it's your decision. I mean, the person who's written the book should be compensated for their hard work. So yeah.
Got it. And another, it's not a question, rather, I remember you just talking about a diplomat from Istanbul who wants to do MBA. I think you said that in our conversation in this class. And then we see people in private sector saying they're not happy here. Like maybe they should try for government exam or the UPSC. Like, what do you think of this phenomena? Like people within even the UPSC are not happy. They want to move to private, but they are again people in the private.
Don't worry about all these things. Currently focus on the goal. I don't want to dissuade you from the eventual goal. There are various reasons why people decide whatever they decide, but do not worry about it. Just focus on your goal for now. Have short-term goals, and short-term is like 1 to 2 year plan for now. Once you get into the services, you will have a lot of options. You can quit the service, you can go to Stanford, do whatever you want. But for now, if you're part of Misfits, you're investing your time, emotions, money. Goal should be get into the services at any cost. And this is the best opportunity that you have got today. So make the best use of it. Not many will have access to this sort of opportunity. Okay, all the very best. Okay, I think I've addressed 2 more hands are there, Prerna and Shivani. I think Prerna's answer, it's sorted. Shivani? Akib?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible, Shivani.
Yeah. Hi, Naman. Firstly, thanks for this initiative. This initiative, which concentrated only towards the Indian foreign services, was something which I could really relate to a great extent, and it was quite instantly relatable to me on that pitch because I am someone who only thought of going for foreign services. So thanks for that. And apparently, I had a question in regards to that. Will it be a wise choice of giving the 2023 prelims if previously, let's say in the last 1 to 1.5 years, we are in bits or pieces studying about this exam?
See, fill the form. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think UPSC will penalize you for that. If you're not prepared, don't appear for it. Let's aim for 24. It will take some time. Okay, at least at my end, it will take some time for 24. But you should be ready for 24. There should be no doubts about 24. For 23, if you have prepared, if you're sure of clearing the exam, even if you're unsure, but if prepared for it, give it an attempt. This initiative is for 24.
Okay.
24 and thereafter. So, Akib, what's your question?
Yeah. Sir, you talked about an internship by Sumit sir on Ministry of External Affairs. So, like, shall we look into that internship while preparing with you? And because
so this was an option for one person who had a lot of time in terms of attending 2 classes. So my point was, instead of attending 2 classes, if you have a time, get an internship or in the specific domain.
Sir, I have a work ex of 1.5 years in a chemical sector. After that, I quit and I'm just preparing for this for like 1 year. And this year, I'm like thinking to give an attempt in 2023 as well. And but like the problem was like this: the facts, retention of facts through discussion, and answer writing through your case methods. That's why I've joined. And can you please give me some clarity, like how should I move ahead and go, like how should I plan ahead, like something this?
We'll have a lot of clarity going forward in multiple lectures. So do not worry. For 23, I'm not accountable. For 24, I'm accountable. And I want you all to make me accountable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
For 24, that's my thing. 23, I cannot. I mean, because we have not studied enough for 23.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can prepare for the exam in 2 months. Many
yeah.
can if you,
So,
if you
I'm
use a lot of
asking,
hacks.
like, yeah, 2023 will be from my side. Like after that, like should I do something side by side for work experience or any internship, any kind of thing, or wholly prepare 1 more year along you?
If you don't take multiple sabbaticals, it will be very difficult for you to justify this if in case you end up failing the exam. So if you're getting a job easily, take it up. You can take sabbaticals from the job. You can take long weekends off. You can take weeks off.
Right.
But I will not advise you to waste multiple attempts, multiple years on the same exam.
So like this, like I am planning for 2 attempts. Like one would be 2023 and the final would be in 2024. So shall I move ahead with completely full preparation without any workings or in these coming 2 years?
My sense is that if you're preparing for 23, you would have already completed basic books.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, I've completed. Yes, yes.
So I think you will have a lot of time. So no point of, there's opportunity cost of everything.
Yes, sir.
And there's law of diminishing returns in economics. So keep those 2 things in mind as you move ahead with the journey. Okay. Okay. One last question, Adarsh.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, Adarsh, I can hear you.
Yes, okay. So the question is that I know after this exam preparation, after preparing for UPSC, you get to see the things I don't know whether this question is relevant or not, but you get to see the world in a different perspective. And I have heard it many places, and also in one of the videos of you guys in Sudakshi ma'am also told that it helps you in this preparation, helps you to become an entrepreneur. And so can you tell me some experience or some examples where this exam preparation has helped you post that exam?
Good question. Great question. And I think this will get covered in some way or the other when we delve deeper into the topics of UPSC. The beauty about UPSC is that you will be covering, studying almost everything. We might also talk about startups in some way or the
Okay,
other.
sir.
And then I can bring forth my experiences, how this preparation can further help you.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Great. I wish you all the very best. Look forward to being part of this journey with you all. I hope you had a productive evening. And yeah, look forward to seeing you on Monday. And until then, enjoy your time. Okay. For next 2-3 days, have party, go to Goa, enjoy. And from Monday onwards, you're going to get into the net of things. Okay. All the best.